Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gav Major and this is Amateur Reports. Amateur Reports is your gameplays with my commentary. If you have any of your own gameplay submissions that you'd like to submit for Amateur Reports, our email address will be down in the description. Now this is a submission by Eternal Abyss and he is playing the British Tier 6 Premium Battleship HMS Nelson. Now this is a Tier 5 and 6 game of Capture the Base on Two Brothers. The reason why I've selected this clip is partially in light of the recent Nelson discount and also the Trafalgar Day, and I thought, well, it was quite a nice fitting clip actually to have as amateur reports following that week. Now, on the friendly team, there's a double Akatsuki, a Nuremberg, a Degrassi, a Fijian, a division with an Ashitika, an Islamor, a Bayern, and Eternal Abyss in his Nelson. Spawning next to Eternal Abyss has been the Islamor, the Nuremberg, and one of the Akatsukis. I can't remember what the other battleship was. Now on the enemy team there's an Akatsuki, a Jervis, a Graf Spee, a Leander, an Atlanta, a Fuso, a Queen Elizabeth, a Scharnhorst and a Colorado. And it looks like spawning on this flank opposite him has been the Fuso, the Scharnhorst, the Queen Elizabeth and the Leander. Now lining up some armor piercing on the Leander and really taken advantage of the broadside Leander. The Leander really shouldn't be up front, especially when he's spotted like that. And here's quite a strange one from the enemy Leander. He just starts laying a smoke screen, but I don't know why, because he doesn't slow down to use it himself. And in fact here, he stops laying a smoke screen, turns away. And so Eternalvis kind of just keeps the armor piercing loaded and just watches and waits. Just watch and wait, because you never know what that Leander's going to do. There we go, the Leander's starting to commit to a turn. Too late for him to turn away, get that armor piercing down range. There we go, wrapping ourselves up our first kill. However, not first blood. Of course, the friendly Nuremberg has done what Nurembergs are famous for, and that is dive, dive, dive. So, getting ourselves into a position where we're trying to get the island between ourselves and the Queen Elizabeth. The reason being is Nelson focuses on angling against enemy fire, and she needs to keep. So, this kind of position where he's angled against the Fus and the Scharnhorst is perfect. However, by being bowed into the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Elizabeth gets some shots in. The Queen Elizabeth will be able to punch straight through the bow of the Nelson and into the citadel. So by getting nice and cozy up against this island, he's isolated the Queen Elizabeth, and therefore he's now able to focus onto the other enemy battleships, using his armor piercing, aiming for the deck line of the Fuso, returning himself about 5,000 plus damage. I just want to take your eyes off to the minimap, and you'll see that currently spotted from the enemy team has been one battleship and two cruisers and one destroyer on the eastern flank. So Two Brothers is quite a strange map. The way it splits your team into an eastern and western flank, you've got that big island in between, and you kind of have to deal with your flank. You can't really act together as a team. You're almost acting as like two mini teams. And then it's once you've dealt with your flank, reading the map and seeing what you need to do. Akatsuki seals the deal on the enemy Fuso. But also there's that middle gap down the middle, and you always have to bear that in mind, because it's quite easy for the two flanks of your team to deal with their flanks and completely forget about the middle when something comes racing down the middle. So the Scharnhorst looks like he's quite nicely angled. You see, he's got aiming the armor piercing at the deck level, so he's not aiming for the bout, because if you hit the armor bout, the Scharnhorst is just going to bounce. But by aiming for the deck level, you're going to punch through that thinner arm of the Scharnhorst, and really able to punish that Scharnhorst for 10,000 damage. That's one of the nice things with the 16-inch shells of the Nelson. However, they do have the shorter fuse, so don't really expect to be getting citadels against battleships. Switching to high explosives because the Scharnhorst has actually gone nose in, aiming towards the rear deck line of the Scharnhorst, and there go the shots. Now this was quite an interesting one. It shows some of the downsides of high explosives. We're getting 4 shatters there, as most of the shells hit the thicker armour of the turrets and therefore they're just shattering. However, even though they shatter and don't cause any damage, it's still able to cause a fire due to the splash damage of those shells. Now, as always, down in the description will be the commander build and the modules that Eternal Abyss has used during his games. However, I should let you know that for modifications, he has taken Aiming Systems Module 1, Propulsion Module 2, Target Acquisition Systems Module 1. Looks like the Scharnhorst should be burning out, switching to Armour Piercing as we look to start the engagement against the Queen Elizabeth. And the Queen Elizabeth is going to find herself in a sticky situation, because he's got Eternal Abyss off to his port side and he's got another enemy battleship off to his starboard side, so he can't angle against about the two, and quite correctly Eternal Abyss angles his ship and starts trying to get into a nice position where he can get a nice crossfire on that Queen Elizabeth. The enemy team has lost 4 of their ships already, disabling the turret off of the Queen Elizabeth, noticing that the Fiji on the eastern flank has been sunk by the Akatsuki, or sunk the Akatsuki I should say. So that means their destroyer that's not been spotted this entire game is the Jervis. So it's going to be interesting to see whereabouts that Jervis has gone. He doesn't appear to be on this flank. We haven't seen any torpedoes. However, he could be on the other flank. Getting a nice, not waterline but upper armour bout hit on the Queen Elizabeth there. Now, commanders wise, he has taken the Azur Nelson, rank 16 legendary 2. Skills taken has been Flammable, Cannonier, Big 7, Marksmanship, Master Mechanic and Far-Sighted. Very similar to my build, I have to confess. Although I think I take running with scissors rather than far-sighted, but then that's all down to personal tests. Again, aiming for the upper armoured bout and really doing a number against that Queen Elizabeth, earning himself 15,000 damage there. Now the secondaries are chipping in. Now the secondaries in Nelson are positioned more to the rear of the ship, and they are only AP. However, they do quite nice numbers sometimes, and he has just got himself the high caliber as he passes 100,000 damage. Queen Elizabeth should be all done. However, it's the Akatsuki that secures the kill. Ooh, Jervis has been spotted in the centre and he's just sunk the friendly de Grasse. So that gives us an idea of what that Jervis has been doing this entire game. He's been floundering around in the centre of the map down the middle. I'm surprised he hasn't actually dipped his toe into the base and actually started getting some capturing / delaying the points. So that leaves on the enemy team the Jervis, the Grasse Bay, and I believe it's the Colorado that's left. Switching to high explosives as we start to enter the base. Now that's a good call actually, because we don't know what that Jervis is going to do, whether he's going to make a push for the base or fall back and defend the base. And if he falls back, he's going to be appearing at very close proximity to Eternal Abyss. Now, amusingly, through this game, he hasn't actually taken a lot of damage. He's still got 55,000 health, and he's still got 3 repair parties. Now, that's actually quite generous, because each repair party will heal about half the health of a Nelson. Now, he would have 4 repair parties if he hadn't taken Far-Sighted. So, with his rank, he would have +2 repair parties for Master Mechanic, but you end up having to take -1 from Far-Sighted. As inspirations, he's gone for Andrew Cunningham, Mastery level 3, and Takagi, Mastery level 19. Now, the reason for those is obviously Cunningham does improve the Jervis, close proximity. Let's get those 16-inch high explosive shots fired, and devastating strike, getting rid of that Jervis very nicely. Getting ourselves up to kill number 3. Where was I? Yeah, so he's taken Cunningham for the accuracy. That's very sensible. Completely agree with that. Especially these higher tiers. It's kind of like you want to make your shells count sometimes. Now Tagia it's an interesting build, and I can appreciate why he's gone for that. That obviously improves the amount of HP that you earn per second of your ship. And on the Nelson, that is just going to be an absolute monster. It's going to give the Nelson a lot of staying power. So that's good in some respects. It's just always that hope that you don't get focus fired and you don't get torn to pieces before you can actually use, say, your second repair party. Enemy graph space spotted, getting the volley of armor piercing out down range. Someone else hits the graph space very hard though before the Nelson's shells land, and he only gets one penetrating hit. So only 2 enemy ships left, and by the looks of it, it doesn't seem... I mean, you could capture the base in 30 seconds, but they've only got a grasp bay with 5,000 health left and a Colorado with, I think, a reasonable chunk of health left, so I can understand the temptation. I mean, the Akatsuki says he's not going to bother capturing the base, so let's see if we can wrap up some kills and get a bit more damage, because I don't think this is going to go badly. Securing the kill on the grasp bay very nicely with 1 penetrating hit and 2 overpens. Keeping armor piercing loaded as we try and find the Colorado, and we have a bit of potential Kraken. Now the Nelson is very mobile in the water. It's one of the things I really do like about her. She is very nippy in the water. It's something I find is a trait with all of the British battleships, from Warspite, Queen Elizabeth, King George V, and Nelson. They're very, very small turning circles, responsive rudders, quite nicely moving in the water. Very good at dodging torpedoes, I must confess. Vanguard and Hood, because they're longer, they are a little bit more clumsome in the water. But then that's due to their concept of being Hood's a battle cruiser and Vanguard's a fast battleship. So if you want something to be fast, it needs to be thin and long. If you want something to be a good gun platform, it needs to be fat and short. Getting a volley out on the Colorado. He's only got 5,000 health left. Let's see whether our shells can find the mark. Very nice, and getting himself the Kraken and kill number 5, calling the end to the game. So here we are at the end screen, and we can see that Eternal Abyss has managed to do himself 122,000 damage, securing himself 5 kills from 54 hits on target, 1 citadel, 15 secondary hits, and only 2 fires. Sometimes you can expect a few more fires in the Nelson due to her high explosives being very effective, but in that game there was a lot of opportunities to take advantage using the armor piercing. The armor piercing on the British battleships should not be underestimated. It does do a good number. It just doesn't do citadels on battleships, but it can sometimes do a consistent amount of damage on those volleys. Some of the standout volleys are really there. The 10,000 on the angled Child Horse, that was a really nice volley actually. Getting himself Devastating Strike, High Caliber, and Kraken Unleashed. So all in all, quite a nice game. Going on to the team screen, I guess you could say, and you can, yeah, Eternal Abyss comes away as a runaway winner, but then, so he should with his High Caliber and Kraken Unleashed, getting himself his 5 kills. Looking at the teams, yeah, the Leander that got deleted at the start and the Nuremberg that got deleted at the start, they shall suffer for their crimes, I guess you should say. And the Queen Elizabeth that pull up the stubborn resistance on Eternal Abyss's flank has come in at top of the enemy team. Going on to the economy tab, and you can see that Eternal Abyss has made himself quite a nice tidy profit of 467,000 credits, and that is with premium. And it is his first win of the day in this ship, so obviously does help and assist with that. Obviously, he earned himself quite a nice amount of ship XP and a commander XP based off of that. Well, all in all, a very great submission, and as I said, I thought I'd dig this one out of the inbox simply because we've had the the Nelson discounted recently, and we've had Trafalgar Day 2020. So, yeah, very pleased with that. Very pleased. Well, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give the video a thumbs up, and if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. If you are already subscribed, let's say thank you very much, guys, for your continued support. comments and contributions. If you have any of your own game captures that you'd like to submit for amateur reports or for sea trials, now the difference between two is amateur reports is very much like this: your gameplay, my commentary. Where sea trials is it's kind of similar, but I also add in another element which is tactical overlays, and basically it's where I identify good things or bad things in people's playstyles, and I either offer assistance or showcase what people are doing well. So if you're having some games where you go, what did I do wrong? How happened? Then that's kind of something that you submit for sea trials. I mean, don't be ashamed or afraid to just send them in, because anything that can be passed on is obviously going to help everyone. So that's always a nice way of looking at it. Well, as always, down in the down in the description will be the command build, the modules, the email address of the channel, and the link to Patreon should you wish to want to support the channel, because obviously the channel is non-monetized. Until next time, I'm the Guy from Asia, and back to the port.